Poetry Center, bringing poetry to Paterson since 1980 at Passaic County Community College.
Hi, everyone. I'm very pleased to welcome you to the first 2024 reading at the Poetry Center. This reading is on Zoom and will be available on YouTube, on our YouTube channel after, so that you can hear it. Our reader today, I'm very pleased to say, is Jim Reese, and he's an associate professor of English and director of the Great Plains Writers Tour at Mount Marty University in Yankton, South Dakota. Reese's poetry and prose have been widely published, and he has presented at venues throughout the country, including the Library of Congress and San Quentin Prison. Reese's awards include a 2022 Distinguished Teaching Award from Mount Marty University, a first place Allen Ginsberg Poetry Award, a Distinguished Achievement Award from Mount Marty University, and a Distinguished Public Service Award in recognition of his exemplary dedication and contributions to the Education Department at Federal Prison Camp Yankton. His books include These Trespassers, Ghosts on Third, and Really Happy. His first book of nonfiction, Bone Chalk, was published by Stephen F. Austin State University Press in 2019. His newest collection, Dancing Room Only, New and Selected Poems, is forthcoming this month from New York Quarterly Books. His website is https://jimreese.org. I want to say about Jim that he's done the really hard work of excavating his own past and being really truthful and honest and funny and sad in his poems. I love that his poetry can make you both laugh and cry at the same time. And that's what I find so impressive about his work. I love the work that he's done with the prisoners at the Yankton Federal Prison Camp. And he brought me there to go and do a workshop a couple of times. And the first time, I must admit, I was terrified, thinking it was going to be these people with giant knives who were going to come after me. And they were just wonderful. They had very sweet hearts. And when they wrote, they really were brave in what they wrote and were really and I think that's because of Jim. Let's welcome Jim Reese to the Poetry Center.
Well, thank you, Maria. I appreciate it. And Maria mentioned a new book of mine. It's coming out Monday, and it's called Dancing Room Only. And I'm going to read some stuff from this. And I dedicated the book to her when we were in grad school and first started writing poetry. And I dedicated the book to her and Ray Hammond, who's the editor at New York Quarterly. And there are a few people that believed in me, those two. I came out to New York and did a reading, and that's when I met Maria and Ray, and they believed in me and my work ever since. So let me start with a poem about, maybe a couple poems about my mother-in-law. This is called The Keeper of All Things Whole and Necessary. Puts leftover food in little plastic baby food containers and yogurt cups she has saved. Will leave half a chicken wing for someone else to eat. Wraps up and refrigerates one slice of bacon. Puts lemon juice on half an apple so it won't turn brown. She washes and saves straws with holes in plastic silverware with broken tines. Has a drawer full of mustard, barbecue, and soy sauce packages from takeout restaurants. She cuts coupons, cuts up and collects newspaper articles if she knows someone in the article or knows someone who knows someone in the article. She gives me play-by-plays of garage sales and auctions, saves fresh scraps for stray cats and bones for the dogs. Saves for Jesus and saves for you. Picks green tomatoes before the first winter freeze, wraps them in tissue paper, and serves them for Thanksgiving dinner. Balances soap dispensers upside down like others do with ketchup bottles, and eventually combines them in one. She has a room full of old jeans in case her husband's overalls need patching or her son-in-law's crotch blows out. Makes pie crust from hog lard. Has full canning jars from the 80s and unidentifiable things older than dirt in her deep freeze. Once I saw her pull a tarp for a pickup bed out from underneath her dresser. I've been holding on to this, I don't know how long. If you need something, a blowtorch, nunchucks, twist ties, marbles, propane, a chandelier, suspenders, a curtain rod, spare tire, a putter, basin wrench, bell bottoms, a bowling ball, anything, she's your woman. I'm going to read one more, and this is the woman who wishes to remain anonymous bakes a cherry pie. My father-in-law and I are eating dinner with the woman who wishes to remain anonymous. Swedish meatballs, potatoes, corn, and white bread. You won't believe this, the anonymous woman says, but I found a container of cherries that I froze in 1978. They still look good, so I made a pie out of them. We've been eating and haven't gotten sick yet, my father-in-law says. That's the gospel truth. There wasn't a lot of freezer burn on them, I ask. Some, but not that much. She shows me the container the cherries were in, and you cannot write about this or tell anyone who I am until you try a piece yourself. She reaches into the freezer because she has already frozen the pie. She doesn't want the leftovers to go to waste. She thaws 2 pieces in the microwave. My father-in-law cuts a piece and eats. Are you sure it didn't say 1998, I ask? The woman smiles. I dig in. So this is bizarre, reading into a computer, and I can't hear anybody or see anybody, but I'm going to keep going. And if you remember what Maria said, so I spent 14 years working at the federal prison camp here in Yankton, South Dakota. Spent about 3 years working at the men's and women's state prison in South Dakota, and also did some training at San Quentin off and on a couple times a year for about 4 years, I believe. And this is called What a Criminal Teaches Me. One day in my prison class, a student told me a story about one of his greatest regrets. And what I began to discover was that addiction, in all of its gross and destructive ways, will make people go to extreme measures and fulfill highs of any kind. The student, an inmate the student, an inmate in his late 20s, was built, as we say here on the plains, like a brick shithouse. He and I talked briefly at the back of the class. My grandfather had a Farmall 300. You had a need for hoses for your tractor, so you could raise the lift cylinders and tilt buckets with the hydraulics. When the hose was missing, I'm sure he was shocked. When he asked me if I'd seen it, I lied. He said, I've had that tractor, I don't know how long. No one's ever taken a hose off it. What he didn't know was that I used the hose to cook meth. I can't keep feeling guilty about my past. I'm done paying that bill. But I tell you, I wish I'd never taken that hose. You hear a lot of stories when you're a teacher, and here's one more from that prison camp that I wanted to share with you. And it's Like most of them, I won't ever forget it. This is called Sunshine, Handcuffs, Plexiglass, Scars. See these flowers, a student says, they're closed at night, and in the morning they open. They stay open most of the day. I don't know what they're called. I had these same flowers on my front steps. The stems feel plastic, almost fake. They break easily. We're not supposed to touch them here. One of the prisons they had me at, I could step into a corner of my cell and get a sliver of sunlight. It would hit me right here. He cranes his neck, closes his eyes, right here on my face for about a half an hour. That was the only sunlight I'd see. It's mental deprivation. It works. Most guards don't know what you're in for. They don't care. We were loaded on a 747 one winter, and we were standing on the tarmac without any jackets, a bunch of us. Just a t-shirt, orange pants, no socks, no shoes. They had our legs chained at the ankles so tight, I was bleeding all over my feet. They were freezing. Scars are still here. He puts his leg onto a bench and pulls down his sock to show me. I'm no killer. I'm no sicko. My whole stint that got me here lasted only 5 months. That's how long it took me to hit bottom. Hanging out with some terrible people I thought were my friends. And I backslid down the whole way that fast. Meth will eat you up. 15 years I'll be down for an addiction I couldn't shake, could have never imagined. When my daughter used to come to visit me, I'd be behind that glass partition. She'd tell me, "Daddy, roll down this window." I'd say, "I can't, honey." She'd ask, "When are you coming home?" "Soon," I'd tell her. Now she wants to know the date. She'll be graduated by then. So I was asking somebody last night, I couldn't quite remember who said this. It might have been Anne Lamont that said, we have 2 exclamation points in our life and to use them wisely. F. Scott Fitzgerald, when I was looking for that quote, he said an exclamation point is like laughing at your own joke. And Mark Twain just says don't use them. So this particular poem is called 4 exclamation points. The first time I had my hands on a steering wheel was after baseball practice, Little League, 3rd grade, when the whole team would pile into Coach Shanky's station wagon. I can still see the rusty green with fake wood siding on that old beater. He'd let one of us kids sit on the hump up front, controlling the gas pedal, while he kept his right foot on the brake, both our hands white-knuckling one side of the wheel, giving us imaginary rain. He'd make sure we were ready, and then someone would yell, "Give her hell as fast as you can take her." We'd barrel up the neighborhood streets, almost sailing, skimming the concrete, the kid on the hump reaching and pressing harder and harder on the gas pedal. "I got the brake, kid. Don't worry." The windshield, a moving picture show, all blue sky, horizon, and the bright, almost hypnotic green tops of trees and hills we seemed at that moment to be climbing. Peering in a rearview mirror for the first time, an array of baseball hats, all cockeyed, a line of eyes showing all their white, open mouths, woo-hooing on their way to the nearest convenience store, where Shanky set us loose in the candy aisle to grab whatever we wanted. Slim Jims, candy cigarettes, big gulps. One time, Charlie Ferguson had the gonads to take a full-size bag of Doritos to the counter, and Shanky paid. The unlucky cashier rang the team up, and we climbed back in the beast and were off again. Some new knothead almost driving, with Shanky's big, hairy left hand at 10 o'clock and a couple of much smaller hands at 2. Everything we were doing was wrong and totally right on, man. We had wheels to prove it. I can see Maria now, so that's good. Somebody, I appreciate that. I'm thinking about baseball a little bit more. Let me see how much. And it makes me think of something. I've got a poem here that was a title poem of one of the books, and it's called Ghost on Third. And it reminds me of thinking about an expression you don't hear anymore or very often is, and that's, that person talks too much. I just don't hear people saying that anymore. Probably because a lot of people just aren't talking to each other. And so I think about that, and I think about this poem, Ghost on Third, and it's about my grandfather. He was an amazing storyteller, and he liked to talk. And I got a lot of ideas and things from him. So here it is. This is Ghost on Third. At dusk, with my grandpa Cecil and his soothsayer fishing buddy Russ, I am on all fours hunting crawlers. They hold flashlights and PBRs as I wait with my tweezer fingers to attack. Don't let go, Junior. That's a keeper, all right. I follow the light beams back and forth, attack, squeeze, and pull until the night crawler gives or splits in two. Grandpa, it's 25 years later, and I'm half a world away. You, skinny as hospital tissue, lying in a nursing home bed. Me, on my knees, crawling in garden rows, searching for crawlers, engulfed in dirt, bull snake, and mosquitoes. The last time we fished, I had to ask for help to lift you from the boat onto the dock. Bluegills and bass gone to grass carp, the size of Harleys. This will never end. I will take the girls. I will tell them about the fish hook in my mother's head, how I saved you from jumping overboard, how we hammered fish for years. Sleep, Grandpa, sleep. You are the ghost on Third, and I'm sending you home. There's a couple new poems I want to read to you. And one starts with an epigraph from Edward Hopper. It's called The Whole Answer is There on Canvas. And I'm a big Edward Hopper fan. And I'm not always sure that there's answers, but there's always a lot of questions when I'm looking at his paintings and his work. This reminds me of him. This is called Celebrity. Somewhere unnameable, the gas station neon and fluorescent saturate concrete like a melancholy painting. A bell rattles as I open the door into 3 aisles, local commodities, beef jerky, sugar, beer. On the wall, a poster, an enormous photo, Friday Night Lights, some high school player caught midair, arms outstretched, in a one-handed catch, a play the townsfolk still admire in the God Bless America heartland, where high school rivalry, podunk popularity, and a first kiss hang on at great height. I asked the 20-something cashier whose name tag reads Cheyenne, is that some local kid? It is. It's a few years old. He plays for the Hawkeyes now. She seems content. Cool picture, I say. Good catch, she says. We're in the middle of a blizzard right now, so I'm hoping this poem comes true sooner than later. This is called Honey-Do List. Shirtless, the men in the neighborhood put down the remotes, sit upright in their recliners, and come out of hibernation. It's time to wage war against noxious weeds in the yard, drag dead branches and trash cans full of God knows what to the curb. Think about initiating workout routines. Stroll around the perimeters of their house, inventorying all their stuff, and remembering those honey-do lists. Take the holiday lights down, recycle the beer cans, replant the garden, repair the leaky faucet, replace the windows, do something with their no-shave November beards, which are old and itchy. They are acutely aware of the smell of grill smoke and Roundup weed killer in the air, the feeling of fertilizer pellets in the soles of their shoes. The neighborhood is green again. The men buy new razors and take hedge clippers and chainsaws from the top shelves of their garages. Running out of things to cut down is a pressing dilemma for the American male. They stretch out their favorite t-shirts, pulling them down over their stomachs as they bend for a few air squats. They floss teeth, brush grill grates, windows open, Harley's humming. It's spring in suburbia. Women run out in sunglasses and spandex, showing off the first skin of spring. The men pacing and ready to clear paths, sucking in their guts, taking deep breaths, already lying to themselves. So I think I'll read you a couple more, 3 more. This is called, This Isn't Dress Rehearsal. It's 53 degrees this afternoon. Tomorrow, time will spring ahead. In 5 minutes, the still obnoxiously loud grade school bell will alarm the neighborhood. In line at the chain link fence with some other fathers who have shown up, I'm waiting for you, my daughters. Today, recess should never end. In 2 months, one of you will leave this place for middle school. The other will ascend to 2nd grade. Some things never change. I claw my fingers into the chain link that seems so much shorter now. I see the tire swing, basketball hoop without a net, blacktop, and worn tetherball. I'm not old enough to wish I were back in your shoes, not with the math homework you're assigned. But there's the aching for some of that freedom. Maybe that's why none of the fathers standing here say a word. When I shared the rough draft of this poem in class, a prisoner said, "You know, that's one fence I never minded standing behind." Girls, do you know how much I'm going to miss these days? This magical moment on all our faces when we see each other between these boundaries, waiting to go home. I tell you, I like this book. It's got a lot of poems about my kids, and it's a good testament to some things. And this is one of those days that I'm really glad I recorded. One of those summers. This is called Thunder and Lightning. It's tourney time, and my daughter Willow has scored her 2nd run this season. The next batter makes out number 3, and Team Thunder hits the field as I strap the catcher's gear onto one of the unlucky players. She's already drenched. It's 90 degrees, muggy as all get out, a storm brewing. My wife is in the stands making faces at me, which always is a good sign. And our other daughter, Paige, is chasing ground squirrels with the other kids that are too young to play. I'm helping coach and keep score with 2 other fathers as the girls open up their first can of whoop ass against the opposing team. "We fetching or catching here, girls?" the 8-year-old third baseman hollers. In 1, 2, 3, we are back to the top of our lineup, and chatter begins. "Can you turn around like Michael Jackson, break down like Britney Spears, shake it off like salt and pepper? No, you can't." And with cheeks full of sunflower seeds, these girls are starting to gel. How beautiful it is to see them come together as a team, discovering the beauty of the game before it's ruined by adults. And tonight, after ice cream, I water the red maple, the first tree we've ever planted. The girls run and chase fireflies, and when they catch one, they can't help but hold it hostage and pull its wings. I just can't stand to see it suffer, Willow says, and she grabs the hose and begins drowning the thing. Soon enough, they are off for a new adventure. And as I watch my new as seen on TV pocket hose ravel itself into a ball, I catch a glimpse of what's left of the firefly, its cold light smeared on cement, and I hear on this particularly quiet night the flurry of small wings ascending. All right. So I want to just say thanks to Maria Mazziotti Gillen and the Poetry Center in New Jersey and everything she's doing for writers and has done for writers. And I'm going to end with this. This is called Dancing Room Only. Again, it's called Dancing Room Only. This is the title poem of the new book that's coming out on Monday. I hope you get a chance to read it. One of those first Friday nights, staring at my inadequate paycheck, I couldn't stop shaking. The bills were due, and I wasn't holding enough in my hands. This was 20 years ago, 11th and E Street, where we moved from college to careers, small town to city. I can still see the dim lights of the shoebox of an apartment, one old Murphy bed closet that held everything we owned, where we hid our useless college degrees and hung your brand new wedding dress, our used college textbooks and dual copies of Beloved and Crime and Punishment, our wool socks snagging on the splintered wooden floor. The uninsulated plaster walls ached with the wind. Water pipes popped and gurgled in the cold. Such character, I thought, with its scone wall lights and clawfoot tub, sirens, and another aimless wanderer outside on the street, sounds that never turned off. Did we really hate the woman upstairs who partied late nights after her bar shift? I questioned my own bohemian lifestyle, the one I had read so much about, where pain and suffering were part of the process. Me, a wannabe writer, who hadn't done much yet, pleading with the day shift manager for $7.50 an hour. I'd made more money in high school telemarketing Omaha steaks than I did with a college degree. We sat at our first computer in a porch room that wasn't heated, typing resumes, trying to type poetry, our story and their story, our graduate school applications. Always that throb of my heart in my eyelids that I just wanted to turn off. Voices rattling in my head, waking me most nights in a hot sweat. The hellish nightmare that was my life, working in a warehouse, maintaining an optical character reader, sorting endless flats, smothered in meter machines. Some nights, I still see myself sitting on that floral, yellow, and green hand-me-down couch, my body sunk in defeat, the couch engulfing me, my head in my hands. I see you standing there, radiant, confident that we would get by. Maybe that was the night I started to believe that even with all my dreams and disillusionment, it would work. You and me, the faith you had in me picked me up like it's done so many times. I can't remember the words you spoke as you turned us to the door, took that antique doorknob and opened it. We walked downtown into the Zoo Bar nightlife and danced our blues and my shame away. How little we seemed to have back then, how much love we've surrounded ourselves with now, and how we continue to push through the crowd. Thank you very much, you guys. I appreciate it. And everybody that was in the workshop earlier today. So I appreciate that. I see y'all now. So thank you for sticking around. That's an unusual process to read in a blizzard to this computer, but hope you enjoyed some of those. And Maria, I will
They were
talk to you.
wonderful, Jim. I loved them, and I'm sure the book is going to be great as your other books were. I love that you could always make me cry and laugh at the same time, and you're always able to do it. I love your honesty, and I love the kind of layered approach that you have in your writing. Wonderful, Jim. Really beautiful.
I appreciate it, guys. Thank you, Maria.